call is now being recorded.
Hello, this is Jacob.
Hi, Jacob. This is Tanya Lewis calling for our 4:30 telephone conference. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. You?
Good. The reason I'm giving you a call is I'm an attorney here in Salt Lake, and I'm in private practice with a firm, but I'm also a member of the Unauthorized Practice of Law Committee. That's a committee of the Utah State Bar. And we've received some information that you have, that you're not a licensed attorney in Utah or any other state, but that you have appeared in court and are consulting with potential, individuals to give them legal advice. And so I just wanted to find out more about that and find out, what's happening, what's going on, see if we can come to an agreement on this.
Well, basically, I've done my research on the bar. I heard some speculation out there about the bar being a private and voluntary association established in 1870, if I got this right, let's see, I think it was 1878 or something like that. Oh, yeah, 1878.
You're talking about the Utah State Bar?
And, oh, no, that was the ABA. The State Bar was 1931.
Okay.
And so just curious to all the different dispute out there about licensing law and if the bar was or was not part of the government. I did my research on it, and through my research I found interesting Supreme Court rulings. For instance, War versus Board of Examiners in the U.S. reports saying the practice of law cannot be licensed by any state, and the practice of law is an occupation of common right. So I was kind of curious as to how the bar came into existence, and through my research I found that they started off as a private and voluntary association, and then as they grew and bar members became lawmakers in the legislative branch and judicial branch, they've ruled that you have to be a member of their association to practice, which is contrary to the rulings of the Supreme Court. And I got about 5 or 6 Supreme Court rulings listed on my website at leonislaw.com and all my investigative work. And so I showed up to represent a friend, not at any cost. It was just representing a friend. And I did let the judge know that I was acting as his attorney in fact and not as a licensed member of the bar. And then that's when he asked me to leave and had me be seated. But we've had a couple situations like this. There's a couple other guys out there doing it. It just boils down to the judge, and if the judge is willing to listen to your argument or not.
Mm-hmm.
But this is all just based on just findings and research I found. Is something that stuck out to me most importantly was we were founded as a nation in 1776, and the bar wasn't around until 1878, so I was curious to know if there was no such thing as a license to practice law, how did it magically appear, 102 years later?
Okay.
And that's what got me looking.
Sure. Well, here's the deal, and here's where we're at. I mean, the Utah State Bar has a website, and it's available at utahbar.org. I don't know if you ever had the opportunity to take a look at the website and look at what membership in the bar entails. But basically, if you're not a licensed attorney, having been admitted to the Utah State Bar, you're prohibited from the practice of law in the state of Utah. And so I can certainly provide you with copies of the rule. I can send you the link. I can email you copies of the links that will explain in greater detail, describes what the practice of law is, what you can or cannot do. And I'm happy to send those to you if you're interested in taking a look at them.
I'm actually on that right now. I've been over the rules, and basically what I base my position on is I understand that bar members, which have pretty much taken over the lawmaking positions, have made these rules for themselves, saying if you're not a member of their association, you can't practice. And through the website, one thing that's interesting to me is that the license doesn't come from the state. It comes from being a bar member.
It comes from the Utah Supreme Court.
Yeah, it
comes from the state judiciary.
Okay. But you have to be sworn into the bar in order to receive that, right?
You have to be sworn in by the Utah Supreme Court.
Okay, so do they make in their rules that you have to be a member of the bar before you can be sworn in?
No, you're sworn in to become a member of the bar.
Oh, but irregardless, are they saying you have to be a member of the bar association before you can practice in the court?
That's correct. What people are allowed to do is you can represent if you're not a licensed attorney, you can represent yourself in a court proceeding. You just cannot represent another individual in a court proceeding, and you are prohibited from giving legal advice. And if you look at its rule, I believe it's Supreme Court Rule 14-208 describes, in pretty significant detail what is and what is not considered the practice of law. And so I'm happy to provide that to you. If you're on the State Bar website, it's pretty easy to look up if you go to the Supreme Court rules.
It's actually a 14-802 SCR.
Okay. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, the whole thing I base my position on is the fact that I understand the Utah lawmakers and code has stated you have to be a member of the bar or sworn in, but the only thing that gets me is the Supreme Court interprets the Constitution, which is the supreme law of the land, and there's countless Supreme Court rulings out there saying that the state cannot license and that the bar is just a private association. So in my personal opinion, this is just my personal opinion, the bar association to me is no different than if the National Rifle Association got elected to legislative and judicial branches and passed laws saying you have to be a licensed member of the NRA to purchase a firearm. And then the Supreme Court comes out and says there is no such license to license someone to purchase a firearm, and then the state of Utah just goes ahead and does it anyways. Because, that's just the way I'll go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think we're just going to have to agree to disagree on that issue. I mean, it's pretty clear that there's authority and jurisdiction vested in each state to regulate the practice of law as it sees fit. That's why each state has its own bar association that regulates the conduct of its members and regulates the practice of law.
Where does that authority come from, though? Does it come from the state statutes and codes, or does it come from the Constitution?
In this case, the authority is vested in the Utah Supreme Court. The Utah Supreme Court is the Utah State Bar is a subgroup. It's overseen by the Utah Supreme Court. It's overseen by the judiciary. It's not about lawmakers. It's not about legislators. It's about the Utah Supreme Court.
Also, the Supreme Court, without the legislation or the Constitution, has ruled that you have to be a member of the bar.
What the Utah Supreme Court has done has vested the Utah State Bar with the authority to regulate the profession of law within this state.
Right, okay. I just wanted to get a clear understanding that it wasn't supported by the Constitution or the state Constitution, and that it was the bar doing this, acting on their own. Or, I'm sorry, the Supreme Court of Utah doing this on their own. Just to get a clear understanding.
That's a good question. I'm not sure if it's from the Utah State Constitution or if it's in the statutes, but in this state, it's the Utah Supreme Court that has the authority to regulate the practice of law in the state of Utah.
Okay, yeah, I was just curious because I know we're agreeing to disagree on this, but just my standpoint is they derive their just jurisdiction and authority from the constitutions that they swore an oath to, which would be the state of Utah and the U.S. Constitution. And if you go through those constitutions, I can't find anything that authorizes them to regulate or license the practice of law. And that's just my personal opinion, but I understand where you're coming from too. So I do appreciate you talking to me, though.
Okay. Well, what do you see happening as a result of this conversation? Do you think that you're going to change your activities or change your behavior, or do you plan to appear in court again on behalf of someone else?
That's undetermined. Right now, I do not plan on appearing on behalf of anyone because of the circumstances. I understand that on the state bars on the website, it says the unauthorized practice of law is not a crime in Utah, but I do also understand that any judge is going to throw me out if I try. so it'd be a waste of my time. And so my main thing is just to keep investigating and shedding the light to the general public and make it become common knowledge and let the public decide in future elections and raise the issues politically. Because I'm running for office in Ogden City here in a couple of days, and I'll be definitely raising this issue.
Okay, cool. Do you have a P.O. box or anywhere that we can send you mail or even an email address that you'd be willing to give to me?
Yeah, I can give you both.
Okay, super. Okay, because you seem like a nice kid, and I just don't want you to get in trouble. Because what happens is if we have people that catch our attention, and repeatedly do this, I mean, what happens is we would have to send you a cease and desist letter. We would have to go down that route, and we don't like to go down that route. And I mean, in the past we've had some individuals who have elected to not heed our warnings, and we've had the Board of Bar Commissioners get involved, and then we've had to take them to court and get injunctions to prevent them from doing that. And we don't like to do that. We don't want to do that. We would just like people to follow the rules of the admission to practice rules and the Supreme Court rules. Maybe you should consider going to law school. I mean, I think you seem like a smart kid, and we can always use more smart people in this profession. Is that something you'd consider doing in the past?
Well, I'm doing my pre-law right now at Strayer University. Just my bachelor's in criminal justice in place of my pre-law. Then I wanted to go for constitutional law in law school, but I don't know just personal views, if I approve of the bar. And so I think what I'm going to do is just continue my route on working from home as a consultant and just exposing what I know to be true, because there's a lot of talk and speculation. We're living in a time where Tea Party and grassroots movement people are starting to investigate these kind of things, and it's becoming more and more common knowledge of what's really going on. So I don't know if I'll ever be a member of the bar. I just don't approve.
Sure. Well, and trust me, there's lots of folks who are members of the bar that echo your same sentiments. But again, we would need for you, being a legal consultant and giving people legal advice and not being a member of the bar, we need for you to not do that, and we'd like for you to not do that. And so please, read those rules to practice and understand that, if you go against those, the State Bar and the Board of Bar Commissioners, we have in the past successfully obtained injunctions to prevent people from doing that. We would like to see that not happen with you.
I'd have to say, as far as practicing in court, I don't really plan on doing that. I am in a position where I'm working full-time from home right now off my website, just doing consultations, but everybody who does a consultation with me, I inform them that I'm not a member of the bar, I'm not a licensed attorney, and it's for entertainment purposes only before we continue, and I record the conversations. So.
Okay. All right, well, that sounds fair enough. All right, I don't want to take up any more of your time, and I have to get going on to a couple other matters. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and send you a letter confirming that we talked. Once you get it, if you have any questions, please feel free to call me. And if you have any questions about what constitutes the unauthorized practice of law, please feel free to contact me or any other member of the bar committee, because we exist so that people don't get in trouble. That's
I would definitely like to send them a letter knowing what constitutes it, where they derive their authority from the Constitution to. Because I believe all authority comes from the Constitution. That's just me. So I would be inquiring further. But I don't plan on representing in court. Like I said, I represent at home. I've moved to full-time doing that, but everybody knows, even on my website, it claims that I'm not a licensed attorney and that it's for entertainment purposes only, just to cover my end.
Okay. Well, we'll have to take a look at that in further detail. Again, please go ahead and read those rules, and we encourage you to follow those rules and to not give legal advice. We are looking for people to follow the Supreme Court rules. So I'll go ahead and send that letter out to you, and we'll just go from there.
All right, well, I appreciate it.
Okay, thanks, Jacob. Take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.